You were listening to episode 156 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and the old caveman has us grapple with today's inflation-deflation challenge.
It took us quite a while to come up with that line this week, didn't it?
Hey man, I was, so Rygar and Lygar and...
Cigar.
I don't know, there's no other Igar words to use, so...
I'm sure there are, but we're just not in that mindset of ours. Yeah, and it's not a pirate game, so we can't do that.
Rygar.
So we played a little bit of Rygar on the NES this week. Had a good time.
Smidge.
Yeah, just a smidge, but we'll dive into a little bit deeper in our inflation deflation. This week we are going to be talking about Nintendo and its future console. They've come out and made a statement on that. And coming to Nintendo Switch, improvement on the online components. I guess we'll find out more on that too. Also in this episode, we will be cutting the articles a little shorter this week compared to most weeks, and we'll be covering Rygar, and after that, we'll have our interview with John Rue of the Retro Rue Room. His game Quest Rest. He has another game called Gelatinous, and then he is also working on some other titles that I guess really I dove into with John the other day. So John and John on the Game Deflators Podcast.
John Squared.
John Squared. Yeah, so we will have that at the end of the episode here for you to catch. But to get started, Ryan, let's look at our recent pickups. Did you have anything?
So nothing that I've picked up yet. The new Forza game is out on Game Pass, so I want to check that out. I've seen a few people talk about it. You know, I've never really been too much of a racer. I did have a lot of fun. I guess it was last year with Ridge Racer that we played.
Yeah.
Was it 4? Whatever one was on the PS
Ridge
Classic.
Racer 7 we played. That was the most recent Ridge Racer, because we played 4 at my old house, and then we played 7 here at the new house.
Okay. So I had fun with that, and I mean, I think Forza's like a little more serious than Ridge Racer, like as like far as like simulation racing, as opposed to like the dirt track games and stuff like that or whatever. I don't know. I don't know much about racing. Don't listen to me. But I want to play that. I want to check that out. Riders Republic came out. That looks also kind of interesting, and I'm getting the same inspiration for wanting to look into that. I just don't think that I want to spend money to Ubisoft right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's honestly something I'd just rather wait and see if they come out with, like, I mean, I don't know that it'll come out on Game Pass, because I'm pretty sure Ubisoft has its own, like, UBS launcher stuff that you need to, like, incorporate and be a part of. So, I don't know. There's a few things coming out soon that I probably am going to spend money on. I mean, we're coming up to the season when new games are launching, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting something soon. Still no word on the Playdate Watch 2021. Still ongoing.
Almost
waiting to be thankful.
Almost starting to be Playdate Watch 2022.
No, they said, and they've already been making them. Like, I know it's hard to ship stuff right now, so I'm hoping that it's just going to drop. It's like, I'm hoping that it's going to be one of those things where, like, I'd rather they wait and drop it, like, right before it happens.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, okay, it's November 14th. We say that we're going to ship them out on December 21st. No, like, don't tell me a month ahead of time that I still have to wait.
That's going to suck. Well, we'll see, man. I'm excited to play it once you have it in hand.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a new game every week to talk about.
It's true, and it'll be recent pickups every single week. Speaking of games, have you been playing any Odyssey?
So I beat Metroid Dread. I finished a game. Have I finished any other games this year?
I don't think so.
No, I beat Resident Evil 8. I have to have finished at least one other game.
I thought you didn't beat... Oh, no, you did, because you went through your second playthrough.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
I didn't finish the second playthrough. Imagine that. I beat Resident Evil 4 again. I definitely did that this year.
So you beat 3 games this year. 3 games. Nice.
So I am now in Odyssey. I went through and finished New Donk City and did the whole, like, 8-bit running through while they're singing. That was all fun. And then I quickly did the like after that, it was like, okay, do you want to go to this water kingdom with like this soda fountain and this octopus, or you want to go to this ice kingdom? And I went to the soda fountain kingdom and I beat it in like a half hour.
Both are equally fun.
And then I did the snow one, and that was okay.
See, when you're like half hour to beat a level, I have to remind myself that I 100% that game. So I got literally every single component that you could and stretched as much as I could for that title.
I'm just playing it. I'm just getting the minimum number of moons and moving on.
Yeah, I know.
So it's I don't know, man. It's fine. I definitely feel that like, okay, I gotta get this done. Like, it's November, so I mean, I definitely had more fun playing it. I think the first, like, going through the Lake Kingdom and just kind of setting it aside and doing it. And then I was talking to some people while I was playing the Ice Kingdom, and I was like, maybe I want to do something else right now. And I was like looking through my Switch library, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't really want to do any of these. And I was telling my friends about it. They're like, Ryan, if the most anxiety you have right now is that you have to play this fun Mario game, just play the fun Mario game. And I was like, okay. Well,
God, my life is so difficult. My life's so difficult. I have to play Mario.
Right.
But are you liking it?
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm really trying to think. I'm really trying to dig deep and come up with a good new games resolution idea for next year. And I still am not sure.
I'm considering 3 games now.
Yeah.
Like literally completing 3 games in a year for my resolution.
Well, I mean,
but we're not talking like short games. We're talking lengthy games.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you don't have to declare 3. You could just declare 1 and then just play the other games because you want to play them.
No, but see, if I declare it, then I have to force myself into playing them to complete it for a year.
Hey, I'm the only person who's completed 3 games in a year yet.
That's not true. I completed multiple games this year.
And not for a new games resolution.
Not for new games. Wait a second. That other game wasn't on your list.
I did 3 Zone of the Enders games.
Oh, that one. I gotcha. Yeah, I've only done 1 each year, I think. Yeah.
You were gonna try to do all the.
I was gonna try and do Shenmue 1 and 2, but Shenmue 1 just kind of
blew it out for you.
Yeah, that blew it out for me.
Was that this year?
It was 2 years ago. Yeah.
What'd you do this year? You beat it in like February or something.
I did Conkers this year. No, I beat Conkers probably 3 months ago, I think, at most.
I gotta pick some game. I should just like start January 1st and see if I can like just speed run something.
Yeah, that'd be right. Fine. You're gonna look up shortest Nintendo games to complete. This one's 40 minutes.
I'm gonna be Atari ET.
Oh God, you're gonna put yourself through that?
Just a few hours.
Just
be done with it.
Talk about not being able to complete a game. That and you're gonna play some Shaq Fu at the same time. Yeah, I gotta complete the entire arcade of Shaq Fu.
One of my ideas that I've had actually, I've been watching more AGDQ reruns this week. I thought it would be cool maybe to pick a game and just like see how fast I could get to play through a game. Like, I remember when I was younger, I definitely sat down and beat RE4 back to back like 3 times in a day once.
Oh my God.
And I got it to like under 6 hours. But I don't know if I would want to do something like that, or if I'd like to look into something like older and simpler where like it's just kind of like a cool party trick thing.
Well, I think Resident Evil 3, the re-release, is only like 3 hours.
And I haven't played Resident Evil 3.
That actually would be a good one for you to play if you haven't played that one yet.
Yeah.
It's probably on sale for Black Friday, I'd imagine.
Well, and I think, the OG Resident Evil 3 people like better than the remake. I think remake of RE3 was like the worst received one.
I have it on the GameCube.
Yeah.
RE3. Could always play that version.
I didn't know it was on GameCube.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'll have to look it up, but I'm like very, very solid thinking that it's on there. Evil 3 GameCube.
RE remake?
Yeah, Nemesis is on GameCube. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you ever want to play that version,
and I'll just borrow one of your GameCubes.
Yeah, one of like the 8 GameCubes that are in my house. I have way too many GameCubes.
Who doesn't?
Dude, there was a point in time I could pick them up for like $5 a piece. So just started accumulating GameCubes along with like 40 controllers for GameCube.
Dude, you should make a what was that? There's like some robot show on WB as a kid, and it was like this robot all made out of blocks. You should make like a block robot all out of GameCube.
Roblox? No,
Maybe.
Roblox is a new thing, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming you don't have anything else that you played recently.
Nope, just the Odyssey, beat the Dread, feeling good about that.
All right. Well, my pickups, I had quite a bit this week. I got some new Game Science dice, which I got to show you still. It's like a crystal clear color. So I'm going to paint in with some gold on the numbers. So that'll be pretty sweet. But it's a 12 dice set. So I've got a D3, I have a D16, I have a D24 added to it.
That's so bizarre.
Isn't it?
What are you even going to use those for?
So the D24, one of the things that's suggested is that, say, for example, you have to roll 4d6. Instead of rolling 4d6, roll a d24 and see what you get. Now, granted,
but 4d6 has a floor of 4.
Exactly. So what I would end up doing is saying you re-roll anything between 1 and 4. So the probability...
Or you just count 1 through 4 as 4.
Yeah, 1 through 4 could be 4.
Or you just roll 4d6. Because you have all those dice.
Yeah,
like
I
the
know.
whole point of having a bunch of dice is so that you can roll more than one.
But see, then there's folks like my wife who hates counting. So whenever she rolls 4d6, she's like, okay. And she's sitting there doing the math. She's like, what's 2 plus 2?
People that don't like counting shouldn't play D&D.
She loves D&D. She just hates counting. Dude, when she busts out a fireball, she's like, time to bring out the calculator.
There you go.
It's the funniest thing. But yeah.
And I didn't mean that. Anybody can play D&D. It's for everyone. But there are games with less math.
There are. So yeah, the D24 can be used for that. It comes with a really cool one. It's like a D10. It's a D10 basically, but it has the days of the week on the top and the days of the week on the other side for the D10. And so what you're able to do with this is basically do like night and day. So if a character says, what day of the week is it like when we get to this location? And you can be like, all right, cool. Like when you roll that, say, all right, you guys get there on like Tuesday at night. Like, and you color each side of a die a different color. So like one might be gold, the other one might be black. And then that determines, what time of day it is when they arrive. So there's little cool things like that. And Game Science provides like an instruction booklet that says like, here's all the different dice that we have and like some suggestions on how to use them in your campaign. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I got that. Speaking of D&D, I also got Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. Got 2 copies of the alternate cover on that. Super excited about it. And then, of course, there's also the news now of, what is it, a 6E or 5.5E, whatever you want to call it.
They're working.
Yeah, they're working on it. Be 2024 most likely would see that, which kind of goes in line with the prior releases.
I can't believe, like, how long has it been now since we got into D&D?
Probably, 3-4 years now?
So we got to have been like 5 for me because I started like about a year before I got you guys all into it.
Well, now I'm DMing a campaign and I'm playing in 2 technically. We're going to be starting up another mini one here pretty soon.
I know you've got more DM experience than I do at this point, I think.
I think so because I've got about a year under my belt now.
It's so crazy like how much has come out since then and how much it still feels like is left, and they're trying to like, it's one of those things where like there's been 5 or more editions up to this point. I've only interacted with like 2 of them, and I don't know that what are they going to do? Like, I'm so interested to be able to experience my first changeover like that of like an actual modernization change coming out. As opposed to like when I went back to 3.5, I mean, it was learning a new system for me, but it wasn't like everything was already unlocked about it. Everybody knew everything about it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what that's like. I mean, I don't D&D the way I used to. I think it would definitely be worth picking up like, maybe like a core book for, but for the most part,
well, and the cool thing is like we have all these resource books now, and you can always, from a ruling perspective, like, are they really going to change like you're rolling a d6 for X weapon and stuff? No, probably not. They're probably going to change like minor things here and there in the next
They'll probably
edition.
Definitely update ancestry from race.
Yeah, they'll definitely. Yeah, it's true. They'll have some minor addition or revisions that occur most likely.
There'll be a lot of cleanup in the language.
Yeah, maybe a cleanup in language, or might be like what they generally do. I think is poll people, like different players, to see like what's broken and what needs to be fixed. And make their revisions based on that. I like 5e. I mean, I personally don't have any crazy things that like just drive me nuts, that I would want to see revised. And even so, like players do home rules, like for example, there's a rule in place that if, for example, like a creature, say you thorn whip a creature and you take it closer to you and one of your, partners is in melee at the time, the ruling is that you don't get the attack of opportunity because the creature is forced out of there. Our home rule is we say, no, the creature is at disadvantage, just being yanked over somewhere else. There should be an attack of opportunity. And so that's a ruling that, we've kind of homebrewed in a sense. So, whatever they put out, cool. We'll see. I'll probably get like the new source books and stuff, but I likely won't get like a new Dungeon Master's Guide unless it's critical that I have to get that down the road. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to be playing 5e probably for many years to come anyways.
Yeah, there's
so much material that you don't need to.
It doesn't get outdated. It's not you don't really, well, no, that's not true. You can go back to an old system and it can have some old jank. I think we're mostly past that now.
I agree.
But it's not like when 6e comes out, all your 5e stuff becomes useless or anything like that.
And you adapt it as needed. Like you could take a 3.5 campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And you can totally utilize the story of that campaign and just input 5e stats and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like it's not that hard. Okay, so outside of that, I also bought the collector's edition of Elden Ring for PS5, or pre-ordered really. So that'll be February is what it's anticipated as. I pre-ordered Ikai on the Nintendo Switch. That comes out in March or April. It's a first-person psychological horror game. And my box of Innistrad came in. So open that up. You saw some of the cards. I'm excited about it. And I really want to dive into... Oh, you're stretching your back. Like just looking, you're like moving your whole body in some weird way. So I'm really excited to play some Standard at some point. So we got to do some trading. And I'm still playing God of War. I'm still absolutely in love with the game. And I just can't wait to keep playing it.
And you can't talk about it anymore.
Why can't I talk about it anymore?
Because I haven't played that far.
No, I'm going to spoil it for you. So Kratos dies.
Yeah.
No, it's...
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Kratos is dead. But, he comes back in the new game. No, he doesn't die.
God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can, technically.
He can.
He can kill a god, yeah. And other gods could probably kill him. But I'm enjoying it a lot. And what did I get to? I got to where you go underneath the Temple of Tyr, and you're supposed to flip this... God, I forget what the name of the Valley of Giants is in that game. Dude, I'm terrible with names. Everybody that listens to the podcast knows
go with
I'm bad.
Valley of Giants.
Valley of Giants.
It works.
Yeah, the Valley of Giants area where I'm supposed to go. The door is like flipped upside down, so I'm in this like temple underground, and I'm breaking these chains to flip it back, basically. So that's where I'm at right now. Lots of cool puzzles and, of course, leveling up and such. But that's what I'm doing there. And before we dive into our articles for this week, let's give a little bit of a shout out here to Brian Rigsby. So he's on Twitter, and that's his handle, at Brian Rigsby. And he actually created a like 100 plus page book of Rygar, which he actually mailed to us not too long ago.
It looks great.
It looks pretty cool. It's got some, I think it has some stickers potentially with it. It's got a wax pack for cards. And in celebration of playing Rygar this week, we are going to be doing a giveaway on our social media channels. So catch that at Game Deflators on Twitter, at The Game Deflators on Facebook and Instagram, and of course, thegamedeflators.com and your podcast application, as well as your favorite podcast app out there. You can find us on there too. So
how do we do it? Do they like
the giveaway?
Hashtag Rygar?
I'll give instructions.
Okay.
But it'll be like most likely on Twitter, like retweet and follow us.
Okay.
To be entered for it. And we've done some giveaways in the past that have been fun. So this will be cool. This is our first physical media giveaway that we've done.
Yeah.
So in the past, we've done like codes and such.
Yeah. Get excited. Tell your friends.
Tell them all. Follow.
Find everyone you know that doesn't know about Rygar and enter them into this so that you can use that as your extra tickets.
Should be like subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Game Deflators and show us you subscribed. All right. So this week, Nintendo talks about its future and reconfirms their next gaming system is coming out in 20XX. So it's in this century. And this one is Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life.
Obviously, we hope that this 20XX will take place before the Wily Wars so that we can all enjoy it thoroughly. But if Mega Man is not around to save us, then I hope that as we hide from our robot overlords... the new Switch gives us comfort. But my biggest question is, because I was watching Spawn Wave this week, like I always do, so I'm going to talk about it. And he was saying, Nintendo, when they made the Wii U, they probably had the Switch in mind, but they couldn't make that technology happen just yet. So it was like kind of a stopgap. And it's like people are pretty much sold on the Switch's, multi-use function, home and portable. Like, Nintendo doesn't have to go and screw with that formula. They could just make it better. I mean, obviously the Steam Deck is doing that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony sees this as potentially a way to come back in and change things up in the future with like another peripheral for like a portable console or a phone hybrid or something. I don't know. But the one thing I was really thinking, Nintendo always says they want to innovate. They always do something new. Like, they never just sit around and rest on their laurels. Like, they didn't have to do a 3DS so much that eventually they pulled the 3D element out and just started re-releasing 2DSs again. So,
but rebranding it, of course, to be like the new 2DS. It's like, wait, isn't this what it was before?
Yeah, wasn't this just the regular DS?
Isn't this what happened when you just flip the Switch off on 3D mode?
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense in my mind that Nintendo's always going to feel that way. And if we wait 2 more years and we get the PSVR 2 and we get the Oculus Quest 3, like, at some point, the VR break-in market is going to be open. And there will be enough user base and the technology will be affordable enough that you can make it work. So, like, if Oculus can sell the Quest 2 for like $299, dude, I don't see what is stopping Nintendo from trying to make the Virtual Boy 2. Like, I really don't. Like,
with less headaches.
Well, they did the no glasses stereoscopic 3D on the 3DS. Like, they've never lost that desire to mix that element in. And like, if it's affordable and if it can be combined with the Switch as like you just take the Joy-Cons off, and I've seen years ago somebody had like a mock-up of basically like a headset that you just flip the Switch into. I mean, they do it for the Labo. The Labo literally has a VR Switch thing, and some games like set up for it, like Breath of the Wild and stuff. Like, I really think that would be the next big innovation for them and would really be a huge push beyond just like a 4K Switch. Like, almost like instead of having to have a home console version and a portable version like they did in the past, have a VR setup and a hybrid that can work together. Like, I really... Switch 2, Virtual Boy 2, which one's going to come first?
So like a Yoshi climbing its way out of the pit of death after Mario threw it down there, you were predicting Virtual Boy 2 rises
Virtual Boy
from the
2,
pit.
Switch 2, Virtua Switch 2, I don't know.
Switch 2.
Virtua Switch 2 or Electric Boogaloo.
Dude, honestly, Virtual Boy 2 would be the craziest thing.
It would be the ballsiest thing.
So that's your prediction.
Dude, and also, everybody's going to say 2023 because 2022 is next year, and they're going to be hopeful. 2024. 20XX is 2024.
So you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Virtual Boy 2 in 2024.
Yep.
That would actually be a pretty interesting concept, and honestly, it would make sense to include some sort of VR, component, especially if it takes off the way people are anticipating it to take off.
And if they can get there before Microsoft. Because as far as we know, Microsoft, like, they had the HoloLens, which was like AR.
Dude, and that looks so obsolete nowadays.
Well, and that's used in like, I don't know. They use it in some industrial sense for something like engineering or something, or manufacturing, working with robots or tools or something. I don't know. Like, that has some other applications, but like, if Oculus and Valve are basically leading the way, and then Sony is going to jump in with their giant market share and push it super hard, I'm guessing, Nintendo's only chance to pull it off is going to be to get there before Microsoft can. Because, like, the way that Microsoft has its infrastructure, I believe if they really tried, they could super succeed.
You know, my thing with Nintendo here, and usually they've been on the affordable side to an extent, right? Affordable consoles using older technology to turn more profit. Can we potentially see Nintendo being the juggernaut and just bringing out like an 8K console at that point in 2 years? Like they're the ones that are going to have like the hardcore graphics and gaming system and
They've never
take
done
a
the
hit.
graphics.
I know, but like, can you just imagine Nintendo's like, you know what, we're going to change things up because we already know our consumers are going to buy this console no matter what. Nintendo could release a $500 console with 8K on there in 2 years when the technology is a little cheaper anyways, and just slaughter the competition. Easily be bringing in hand over fist dollars for a $500 console. I could see that as a possibility too, outside of the Virtual Boy 2. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the graphics race has never been the moneymaker for them. It's always been in this like gimmicky stuff like Wii motion control, Wii U second pad, DS flip screen.
That's the reason that so many like hardcore gamers and like PlayStation or Xbox are like, oh, I only play on these consoles. Don't go over to Switch because, well, I don't want to go there because the graphics aren't as good.
Yeah, but I mean, that would be Nintendo turning over like their whole legacy of how they've conducted themselves. Like, I mean, I guess it's not out of the question that could happen, but I mean, they make so much money doing it their way. And honestly, I would hate to see that creativity die. Like, as much as they could just cash in on a Switch 2 that's 4K and that's the only difference, maybe smaller bezels, maybe better controllers, you know, I would be like, all right, this is just the next generation of the normal thing.
But in a world of, you know, 4K and 8K and VR headsets and stuff, you know, when people put on VR, they want to truly be immersed in that environment,
they don't want
right?
little 720p screens.
Yeah, and they don't want like, you know, no knock on like PlayStation VR, but like the existing PlayStation VR in another year or so is going to, or shit, it probably already is, out of date.
Yeah.
So Nintendo releasing essentially PlayStation VR 2 years from now, I don't think that benefits them to do something like that.
That's true.
I think they need to come in with like a heavy hitting console, graphics heavy, and their consumers are going to buy it.
They need killer apps. Like, that's the thing. Like, Half-Life Alyx and like Super Hot and some other stuff that I don't really know because I don't have VR. Like, it's so few and far between on those killer apps. And I mean, like, Nintendo launched Switch with, at least I think it was a launch. What's the Coil Man and Ribbon Girl, like the boxing game that they made?
The 1-2 Switch or no, I don't remember, dude.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Like, we've gotten 2 Splatoons since the first one. Mm-hmm. That game came out like back in 2017 with the Switch, and we haven't even heard, like, they didn't even put that guy in Smash, did they?
I don't remember.
And that's like their own like first party.
Yeah, they put Splatoon guys in Smash.
No, not Splatoon. The fighting game.
The fighting game.
The boxing game. Did anybody put that guy or any of those characters in Smash?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. But it's like that's their own first party thing that they're not even supporting. That would be dope in VR. That's what you want. Like a rocket boxing game.
Just imagine little kids trying to punch the air.
Or like they've been saying we won't do an F-Zero until there's a dope way to do F-Zero. Yeah, at 300 miles an hour in first person VR.
That's true. That actually would be, but in 8K.
Probably kill somebody.
Probably could, yeah. Yeah,
Grandma, you can't play this game. Your heart can't handle it.
Grandma puts on the VR lenses.
Captain Falcon!
He just Falco punched me in the heart. But yeah, dude, I think there's a lot of possibilities here for Nintendo. I think there's a lot of directions they can go in that 2023, 2024 timeframe. I'm really excited to see what they can put out into the market. And I'm crossing my fingers that we get a hybrid of what you and I are talking about, like some of that virtual component, but also coming out with a heavy-hitting console that's going to be primarily graphics-focused. And, of course, the same legacy of Nintendo, putting out good games that are family-friendly and enjoyable.
I think the real most important part, though, is that you stop sending articles on this every week, and we don't talk about it every week for the next 2 years until 2024.
This was a different approach, but it's not our fault. That's what the news has. So speaking of
Listen
things,
here, Liam Doolin. I don't want to hear any more about this new Switch, okay?
I think we have an article from him every week that we cover. We should just we need to hit him up on Twitter and be like, dude, no more. Okay, so speaking of things that we don't want to hear anymore, and another person that we have covered in the past, Ethan Gack over at Kotaku, Nintendo is continuing to improve the Switch Online following its backlash. So,
did you see like the slides that they had?
No, I didn't look at the slides. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there's been a lot of backlash. If you go on to the announcement of like the Nintendo expansion set, there's like 165K thumbs down on the YouTube video. I don't remember if there's I don't think there's as many thumbs up actually for that. But people are not happy with the whole, it's extra money to get the N64 version, or not N64 version, but N64 games on their online. A lot of people think it should have been included. Nintendo is, pretty much coming through and saying, look, we're going to take a look at this and make sure that you guys are getting the best experience possible. They haven't come out and said we're going to change pricing or anything along those lines, but there is still the speculation of
they would just look like such a punk if they just backed down right away and were like, oh no, did we say $50?
They're not going to brush it off, but I can see them because there has been a speculation of like Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. I could see that hitting, the standard Switch Online experience.
And I like the way they put it in here. Like, what if you put Game Boy games on the free or on the $20 service and then added, or Game Boy and Game Boy Color on the $20 service and then added GBA in as an additional bump for the $50? I think that would be a good way to kind of give a little bit like on both ends.
But see, you're still going to get people that are pissed off. They're going to say, well, I want a GPA on the $20 version. You're not going to make everybody happy at the end of the day. And I think that's the approach Nintendo's taking. They have, what did they say, 32 million people, but that does include family accounts. So they have 32 million subscribers for their Switch Online service. And I think Nintendo is just probably one of those lines of like, they don't really give a shit if you're happy or not, because they know at the end of the day, they're printing money regardless. And people are going to jump on to the N64. The biggest issue that people are having is that it's not necessarily, at least I don't think it's, necessarily, oh, well, it's too much money. Because realistically,
it's the cheapest of any online.
It really is. And I'm sure that, over time, people will look at this and say, you know what, that's not a bad deal for
quality. I think it's actually like, how many months do we get PS? Like, have you ever even played any of your PS Plus games? I may have played like 5 of them ever.
I have, and I've beat a few in the past. I didn't download last month's. I got downloaded this month's games. Actually, I might have downloaded last month's. I don't remember. But, I think the biggest qualm that people have is the Nintendo 64 emulation is not very good, but the Genesis emulation is like spot on. So that's kind of upsetting people as well. Like, we're paying for this.
Well, dude,
you're not putting out the best quality. What?
Because Sega do what Nintendo don't. That's why, man.
That's exactly why.
Dude, so if they're going to keep this up $50 year after year, obviously they're going to add like more games and hopefully more consoles. They need to add at least what that Animal Crossing thing is every year, at least once a year for some major first-party title. Like, I'm talking like something substantial, like how they came out with the like new Mario 3D plus Bowser's Fury.
Yeah,
that Bowser's Fury should have been something that they just were like, hey, if you're paying that $50 a year, you get that Bowser's Fury thing. Like, something like that, something to really make it worthwhile. Because like these old retro games, like anybody, like you said, it's bad emulation. You'd be better off not paying anything and just going online and getting an emulator that works better.
Not that we're saying do that, but yeah, I can see your point on that.
I do like a few other things that were in this article. Let's see. Oh, also that stuff needs to be accessible as regular DLC, not gated by you can only get this by being a subscriber.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, people do need to recognize that this is just $50. You might not be getting the best N64 emulation, but you are getting a ton of other titles within that $50, price point. It's not bad. I mean, it really isn't. And some of the Genesis games that are on there are like stupid expensive Genesis games. So you're getting, the ability to play games like Musha on there. And if you don't do emulation and this is your only way to get these titles and play them, it's a fantastic way to play those titles.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still considering getting the Nintendo Online. It's just I have so many other games I'm playing. I don't even use my PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
So
talking about PlayStation Plus, so you mentioned 32 million for subscribers to Nintendo Online.
PlayStation has what, 46 million?
PlayStation's double at 46 million.
That's not double. 32 million to 46 million.
It says rival service PlayStation. Oh, costs more than double.
Yeah, it costs more than
double. Yeah.
Talk about math and D&D.
So,
and then Game Pass, I think, was 18 million, but they don't release those numbers anymore, and that number has grown since.
Yeah, 18 million at the start of this year. I thought that would have been way higher. Like, I just got Game Pass when I got the Series S earlier this year. I thought that everybody on Earth was already on board Game Pass. Like, if that's not as big or bigger than at least Nintendo, like it might not be as big as PlayStation just because PlayStation has such a huge install base of people that are like...
Yeah, but Nintendo could be lower than that because they said 18 million. They don't release those numbers anymore, so it's likely grown. So let's estimate 22 million, right? Which may be conservative. It said Nintendo's 32 million, including family members. So that could be 3 people, 2 people, whatever it may be, on one account. So what you're basically saying, okay, that person's paying $20. We're going to count it as 3 members out of that 32 million.
But I mean, like, I don't know that... Does Xbox have a family members thing? Like, usually households only have one Xbox. If you and your brother are playing on an Xbox, but do you both need individual Xbox Live memberships?
But doesn't Game Pass go on to PC? I think it goes on phones as well, doesn't it? As well as your Xbox?
They've got cloud.
So you have multiple ways to play it. It's not like Nintendo where you can only play it on
the cloud just
Switch.
Launched. Game Pass has been out for years. Like that's what I'm saying here. I think it's interesting that their initial before they stopped reporting, because they were reporting up until the beginning of this year.
Yeah, it's really weird for them to stop like that unless they saw a dip. Or maybe they just don't want competitors
If they saw
knowing.
a dip, then I don't know why, because they've been releasing amazing stuff on day one.
But see, they're a public company, so at some point that number is going to come out. They're going to release that figure. Because they have to. Like, when investors are asking how many subscribers do you have, that's something that they are going to...
20XX.
20. It's 20 million XX. Well, we'll see, dude. But the online backlash, I think, honestly, is very much unwarranted at this point. I don't think Nintendo is going to improve things drastically. They might improve things a bit, like the emulation. But even that, I feel is far-fetched.
Or adding better online services like we talked about, I think, a week or two ago. Like, get away from friend codes.
Yeah.
Get away from, like... using your phone to talk to people in online chat. Like, make your online service an actual online service that people want to use.
Use your phone to jump on Discord and then hook up a microphone to try and talk after you've given people your friend code. Like, it's just so stupid, so backwards. It's really just Nintendo not innovating the way that they should with that. And really, the innovation's already there. They're just being lazy.
Dude, how am I supposed to text my friends while I'm wearing the Virtual Boy 2?
Well, see, if Nintendo optimizes everything correctly, you'll be able to chat with them.
No, Nintendo will build like a little window slider that you can look at your phone while you're still wearing it instead. Just some stupid...
move the screen. We've partnered up with Facebook Messenger to be able to bring you friend chat. Yeah, good stuff.
Meta now.
It's true. Meta. The meta life. All right, so let's jump into our inflation deflation. This week we played some Rygar. It was developed by Tecmo, published by Tecmo, released on the NES in July of 1987. That's specifically the U.S. release. Japan, I think, was April.
We would have said Famicom.
So Famicom would have been in 1987 in April. It is an action-adventure game with a reception around 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is fantastic.
Well, it's weird. So the reception section on the wiki had like 3 ratings for the Lynx version and 1 star rating, that 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5 for NES. So I don't know why a lot of people haven't reviewed this.
Dude, I thought it was great. So, I mean, music left a little bit to be desired by me, but I thought that it controlled extremely well.
Yeah.
For what we were playing, and we played it on the Retron 5, which was kind of fun to play on there with our wireless controller, which actually felt kind of good.
Used to it.
Yeah, that felt pretty good playing it this go around. But the overall concept is you have like 5 of these like indoor gods, I think. Indor, I believe is how you spell it. And you get like different weapons and like a crossbow and a grappling hook and all these things to be able to go to various levels within the game.
You get your Zelda exploring gear.
Yeah, and all the meanwhile, while you're killing enemies, you pick up power-ups that allow you to like really boost up your strength and your defense. Things allow you to boost up your HP.
There's
Enemies,
some spells we didn't figure out how to use.
yeah, we didn't get that far, but you know, we explored quite a bit, and the bit that we explored for the time that we had, I wanted to keep playing. But we're on a time crunch, obviously, when we play some of these games. I enjoyed it, dude.
The unlimited continues made it very fair to like continue playing through, because that's the one thing, there's no internal battery on this game and there's no password system.
Oh, really?
So this is a straight playthrough or leave your NES on all night kind of game.
Yeah, which honestly is fine. You know, especially when it's like, hey, 3 to 4 hours to play.
God, can you imagine? Kids will never know what it's like to just leave your Super Nintendo on for a week and just pray all day at school that
the power doesn't go off.
Mom didn't turn it off.
Yeah, no, I remember those days, man. Certain games where it's just like, I can't turn it off. I have to leave it on because I can't save. Totally agree. Kids will never experience that. And you know what?
Damn you, internal hard drives.
When I have a kid, I'm going to be doing that. Oh, you turned off the game? Well, guess what? You're
Sorry,
starting
buddy.
from.
You haven't earned a memory card yet.
Yeah, that's the next step
It's
up.
not 1997 yet, kid.
Yeah. When do I get to move up to Super Nintendo with battery saves? We'll see. Right now, let's leave you on password saves. But dude, I enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the better NES games that we've played in some time. It wasn't hard at all. It was actually pretty easy, and that's the thing that I like, man. Like, there's so many Nintendo games, they're just stupid Nintendo hard games like Ninja Gaiden that we've played, and while they're cool and they're fun, it's a bitch to get through them. And this was very much along the lines of, it was fun, we could get through things easily, we could explore, and it just was so fluid while we were playing this title. So for me, dude, I see that 4.5 stars, and I agree with it 100%.
So brass tacks, complete in boxes will run you about $70.94, and that peaked at $89.07 in July of 2021. Although somebody did pay like $200 back in September 2014.
Prospecting.
So that's like one way outlier on the map if you go to price chart.
Maybe that was a new copy, sealed.
Could be just mislabeled or something.
Yeah.
And then right now we got loose. That's at $14.20, and that's peaking right now, and that's actually heading up.
And honestly, man, well, you have here the complete in box 5-screw version, right? $92.13 for.
Oh, so yeah, the most expensive version is a complete in box 5-screw NES. I wanted to ask you about that. Is that like something that you like? I'd never heard about that. Are there some carts that are just different, that are like more rare or something because they were made by a third party?
I don't remember offhand like the difference between 5-screw and 3-screw, other than the fact that it has 5 screws and 3 screws on it. But there are different carts that have different labels. So like you might have an oval Nintendo label or a circle Nintendo label. Mm-hmm. Some of them, like I think Metroid has like a yellow version versus like a different color, like a silver version, if I'm correct. Okay. So yeah, there's different types of labels that make things rare than the other. 5-screws, I had always heard in the past. Like I said, I haven't dug into it really because I just don't care. But I do know I own actually quite a few 5-screw games that I've picked up over the years. And I've always heard, oh yeah, they're rarer to pick up a 5-screw. But I mean, honestly, the difference is like negligible. It's not.
It's just in the fact that there are a different number of screws. Everything else is identical.
Yeah, like the whole cover, everything's identical. Like the 5-screw is pretty cool because I think it offers a little more stability on the cartridge, like the actual like frame itself. Yeah, because you don't have like that. I'm pretty sure you don't like the lip on the top where it like kind of overlaps in on each other on the plastic. Whereas a 5-screw, you've got like 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and 1 I think dead center in the middle, if I recall. Yeah. So I enjoy the 5-screws, and they feel sturdier, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only crazy thing I've noticed. Somebody out there is gonna be like, "You're wrong, John," but it's 2 extra screws, people. Like, really, what do we care?
And then the cheapest version is the loose PS2 remake version, going at $637 right now. I mean, it's not usually usually I don't include like a remake, but I mean, if the
Rygar.
PS2 remake is cheaper than any other version, I guess if you really got to play it and want to, that's probably the best way to do it.
If you want an experience of Rygar and you want it at a cheap price, go with the PS2 version. Honestly,
the NES version.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding on that. Honestly, I really do think the NES version is fantastic.
$15, steal.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This one's definitely a deflated game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Anything other critical to this game that you found enjoyable?
I mean, you kind of hit on it. I mean, the controls were great. The music's all right. The graphics are fine. I mean, the different enemy diversity that we ran into
that is pretty good
was
too.
Enough to make me, appreciate the amount of effort that they had, different attack patterns and stuff. And the environments were
good for what they were.
Yeah, sometimes, things don't stick out great from the background, but I mean, it's not like a game where we were getting lost or anything. It is cool. I like those games where they do break the perspective up. So this has side-scrolling sections and then kind of an overworld map that, I mean, you still have all your exact controls, but it's just an overworld view instead. So, or overhead view.
Yeah, that caught me off guard actually when we were playing, because we had this nice side-scrolling and it went top view. I'm like, oh crap. And then I'm like, oh wait, we could still jump. We could still hit enemies in the same manner. It was all it just fit. It was just perfect. So yeah, I right there with you, man.
I will say, if you are going to play this game, I was reading that I think that there's a glitch with the EU version in which you can't get as strong. You can only get as fourth of as strong as you can in the other version. So if you're going to play this, don't play the EU version. And I think most people nowadays, I know that whenever we have those emulated consoles come out and they're like, oh, well, you could play the 50 hertz PAL version.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, why would we?
Yeah.
So I don't know if people actually really go out of their way. If you let us know, if you live in Europe, do you go out of your way to get non or actual PAL versions? What do you prefer?
Yeah. NTSC or PAL? Yeah. Well, they'll say the PAL console. I know that. A lot of people like the look of the PAL console versus the. I think it looks like a Toys R Us, kids set basically, the PAL version, but of the SNES and all that for sure. Okay, well, diving into an interview here in a moment. So thanks again for catching all of this stuff in the episode. Now here is our interview with John Rue of the Retro Room. Hey guys, so I'm joined this week by Rue of the Retro Room Games, and it's good to have you on, man.
Hey, thanks again for having me, for sure. I appreciate it.
Cool, dude. So, hey, before we kind of jump into these questions that we have, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm John Rue, and I was a musician for a long time, and whenever, the pandemic had hit, I had some previous experience, doing some development stuff, and kind of started taking it a little more seriously and jumping into that, and it ended up kind of spiraling into this wild adventure that I'm on now, doing content creation for people in the gaming realm, retro gaming realm to be specific. So I'm fairly new to all of it, so forgive me if I make mistakes, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. I feel really lucky to be hanging out, especially talking with people like you, and doing this kind of thing to where we can just talk about old stuff that we love growing up,
Yes, I saw on Twitter that you had gone to one of the gaming conferences recently out in Texas, and I was like, damn, that's got to be some good fun, man. Especially that one. I think that's a biggie, isn't it?
Yeah, it was it's the only I went to Retropalooza twice, and it's the only convention that I've been to, and so I don't really have anything to compare it to. But it was a blast. It was just my kind of people, It's I was surrounded by it's the only place where I can have a conversation casually about the Super Nintendo or something like that, and it's just normal to talk about, or the guy who voiced Duke Nukem was there, and I got to meet him. I was like, okay, it's just kind of a place where I felt at home,
Nice. Yeah, we've got the Game On Expo out in Arizona, and that was pretty sweet too. Like, it's the only gaming conference I've been to like out this way,
Right.
but I've heard some good stuff about the places out in Texas that do cons.
Yeah, yeah. I've been to an anime convention that was really cool, but never a gaming one, much less like a retro gaming one. It was just really, it was really cool. Like I'm gonna try to be a part of as many of those as I can because it was just a blast to be able to be in that environment and surrounded by those kinds of people. So
Were you there like specifically just like as an attendee, or did you go in like a
no,
developer type capacity?
yeah, I had a developer booth, so we were there showing off games. I had some that I brought some prototype carts for some of the games that I had been working on, and just let people play the games on an old CRT TV, and it was really a blast. We sold some Quest OS copies out there, and did some pre-sales for Gelatinous, and did some pre-sales for I don't know if you know this, but I got a license to work with Chips Challenge
Hmm.
recently, so that was really cool. Like we ended up porting that to the Super Nintendo and the Sega, and just letting people try out the games. It's a blast. I never really get to see other people play my games except for after they're released, so kind of to see them work on or to play through a test version that we're working on was like really cool.
Yeah.
Especially little kids. Like I never see little kids playing the games, and to see little kids play retro games is really cool too.
Yeah, it's good
So
stuff, man. Yeah, whenever I have a kid, there's so many retro games that they gotta dive into.
yeah, I'm telling you.
So you had mentioned like that you're a musician, and the pandemic kind
Yeah.
of swung out, and that's kind of why you jumped into game development again. But how did you get that start initially? You said that you had some experience. So what was that?
Well, I messed up a bunch of stuff in Unity for a while, and just made demos, and they weren't good at all. It was just bad. Everything was destroyed on them, and I ended up crashing my computer and lost all of the demos that I had built. So I kind of quit for a little while. But my dad and I were getting into programming microcontrollers together, try to control stuff around my house. I turn my fan on and off, and my lights on and off my cell phone, and just program these little controllers to do certain things, and that kind of got me back into coding. And from there, I kind of went into a direction to try to develop a game, um, which ended up being Quest Arrest. I just wanted to make a game from start to finish. I didn't really intend on selling it or anything like that. I just I was, and Quest Arrest is still free. You can still get it for download it for free and play it for free online. It's just the physical copies that I sell, and that's usually kind of how I like to do things. It's you know, we make a little bit of profit through the physical stuff, but I like to just give the availability to people to be able to play the games. But people ended up demanding that I started making physical copies to it, and it just kind of spiraled into this crazy thing. Whenever I got a shout out from Metal Jesus, and that just made like a bunch of sales, and took all the money that I had made and just reinvested it into more stuff.
Hmm.
And it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. And like I said, I was having a rough time with the music industry, and it just was kind of like one door shutting and another door opening.
Yeah, that's cool stuff, dude. And yeah, I was, one of those initial purchases on Quest OS, which is pretty cool. And I do like that you sign the copies, which is kind of a
Oh,
nice
cool.
touch.
Yeah. Okay. So you
Yeah,
got one of the first 100 then, or something like that.
yeah, yeah, I
'Cause
did.
I don't really sign a whole lot of them. So yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So I guess what's your favorite part about the developing? I mean, you had mentioned with the convention, like the community and such. Is that kind of your favorite part, or is there a specific part within the process that you like a lot?
I've always kind of like me being like a musician. I guess I'm an artist in that sense, but I've always liked the sit in my basement and create this mad scientist kind of creation, and then revealing it to the world. I've always liked that aspect of creating art. But like the community is the whole reason why I started doing this in the first place. Honestly, I created the page just because I was looking for like-minded people to talk about cool old stuff with. It wasn't anything that was supposed to be like for development, or it was just like to talk about games. And it I got really lucky in being able to to be a part of such a great community. I mean, it's the reason why I'm here talking to you. So yeah, it just started as this thing to where I just wanted to talk to people, and just talk about old games. So
Yeah, it's kind
that's
of
my favorite part. Really.
yeah, it's like the same thing for us, man. We really started to kind of jump into a podcast because like we're always talking about games. Like,
Hmm.
why don't we just talk about it on, on a
Just record it.
podcast, and then
Right?
just record it, and then have
Yeah.
people like you come on and chat
Yeah.
with us and really give us a better understanding of the industry as a whole and kind of
Sure.
all of that, the back end stuff that's occurring.
You like
Um,
accidentally become like a content creator, it's like, whoops,
yeah,
but
let's
here you are,
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah.
So what specifically made you want to develop a Game Boy game? Because I mean, there's tons of other like retro consoles out there. Like, what made the Game Boy stand out? Obviously, Quest to Rest and Gelatinous being two of those, and then I know, and I'll mention a little bit later here, but you've got Elland and the Crystal
Mhm.
Wars as well that you got the
Right,
license
right.
for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I grew up with a Game Boy. I grew up playing it in the car with the street lights, like the memes, and I thought it might be easier to develop for, which I was completely because I started developing like a modern engine, and I thought it would be easier to like with 2D graphics or but it ended up being just as hard. It never gets any easier no matter what direction you go in. Actually, the limitations kind of make it a little bit more difficult to work with, but. Um, I love the Game Boy. I love retro games. I couldn't think of a better place to start for anybody. But now that I've like shifted into working on like Sega games, Super Nintendo games. Um, the Game Boy is no more or less difficult than any of those. I thought maybe that it was going to be easier. I don't know, but not really. I guess that's the reason why I dove into it first.
gotcha. And then
Yeah.
with the whole thing with Ellen and the Crystal Wars, like
Oh yeah.
how did that all come about, man?
Uh,
Because
um.
that's a pretty cool one, and coincidentally of Dune. I think it's like a
Yeah.
successor right to Dune, and that coming
Oh,
out now in theaters, like the perfect
yeah.
tie-in.
Well, I rushed for that to happen because of the tie-in with it. I'm not really supposed to tie it together. It's not my place to tie it together. I just let the internet see it, and like you just did, tied it together. It wasn't me who did it. But yeah. I got the rights to the game itself, and we just had to change the intellectual property stuff that had belonged to the Dune estate. And I have a guy who does licensing for me, and he just kind of stumbled across this, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to do something with this?" And I was like, "Absolutely." Like let's do it. First of all, it's a really cool game. It's like extremely ahead of its time. Second of all, the timing was great. So I just really grabbed onto it quickly and tried to speed the process up. Like I started working with, I actually got in contact with the old development team of the people who actually originally developed it, and I was like, really love you guys' work. Can I make a documentary over it? And they were like, yeah, I was like, let me interview you guys. So that's exclusive to you right here, first time.
Nice.
We're gonna be able to, we're gonna make like a documentary that goes along with it, and hopefully everybody kind of gets a feel for that that process that they went through to get it going. They worked really hard on it, and they were disappointed that it had not gotten released. And
Hmm.
so they were really happy to. They ended up actually, one of the developers ended up actually seeing it on Nintendo Life, and he was like, he reached out to me and he's like, "Yo, this is so cool that it's finally getting released." Like I like 20 years ago was so like butthurt that my game didn't get it. My first, he was his first game, I believe, that he had ever programmed or had been on a team to program, and it didn't get a release. So he was just really happy to hear that it was getting a release, and immediately put me in contact with the other people. And I was like, dude, I got to interview all of you guys and just talk about this concept. Give this game the attention and release that I think it deserves.
Dude, that's actually a pretty awesome story tied to that, and the whole idea
Yeah,
of being able to connect with that old development team, and
yeah,
just them being able to see it at the end of the day, kind of. Yeah,
dude.
that's awesome, dude.
I can't imagine working my ass off on a game. I'm sorry if I swore. My
No,
bad.
you're good, man.
I can't imagine working so hard on a game and then it just never be seeing the light of day. Then just trashing it. So that I can see how that would be upsetting. And I could see how they're happy that it's finally getting a release. It's a lot of hard work that goes into making a game. So it's
Yeah.
it's crazy that it's just they just like can it. And throw it away. It's like, okay. So I'm kind of in the like trying to get into the into more of these kind of things, that these unreleased games that had never, their development teams just got canceled, and trying to release some of these games.
Yeah, and then is that something that you're going to do the same format, like it's free for just like a digital only version and release physical copies, or what's your
I think
plan on that?
eventually, the problem is that I'm working with like a license holder, and I kind of have to just follow their rules.
Uh,
Um, for any of my games, like I don't really I would like to give out my games for free, but anything that's on a license or that I have a partnership with, it's really like a battle. I have to battle that out with those people. Anything that I develop on my own will most definitely be that way. I've developed like a few smaller games, like I did Quest Arrest, and then I did a pet the dog FMV style game where you can like just pet dogs. Um, it's it's a silly concept, but it actually is kind of relaxing to sit there and like pet dogs on like in old school video game like format. Um, I put cats in it too, but that one's totally free. And then I made like a long time ago a Paper Zelda prototype and just gave that out for free. So anything that I make, I usually just give it away for free. And if I end up making physicals, people can always buy them from the store and support.
mhm.
Always appreciate the support. It helps me do more cool stuff like bringing Elland to life or other games that I'm working on. Chips Challenge, things like that, and keeping that kind of like old school flavor alive.
And what type of what release date are you looking, or not really release date, but like what time frame are you guys thinking for Elland? Is that
Um,
is that like
I'm
public
I'm
knowledge yet, or?
not really, but I'm hoping to do like a release of the Kickstarter within like the next week or two,
That's right.
and
That's
then
right.
I would love to try to have it out, early next year, like in the hands of all the backers by then, and have
Nice.
the film shot and made by then. Um, it's a lot of work, and like we're having to reprogram quite a bit of stuff because, first of all, the game was like left like abandoned, like there was like some things that needed to be cleaned up and fixed and finished, and then also we have to take all of the intellectual property stuff out of it, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a process, and in order to do all that stuff, I kind of have to have like some of the money in hand. So
Hmm.
and we're
Yeah, that
trying to
makes
do as
sense.
yeah beforehand we're trying to do as much as we can. I've invested like time and money into it already, but to finish it up and make it like pristine, we have to have some progress through the Kickstarter for sure.
And that Kickstarter is not live yet, right? It's supposed to be
No,
going
no.
live pretty soon.
Yeah, it's just you can like follow it right now for like updates for whenever it goes live, but I'm trying to get it live within the next week or two. I'm just trying to get to these certain milestones to make sure that I'm safe.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, we can do this. We can add levels, or we can add, we can fix things and make this perfect to where I think it's really going to make a good release for the public.
Yeah, it should
I
be
don't
cool,
I don't
man.
just
And
want to throw anything out there.
yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah, which is good that you take pride in like what you're putting out there and making
oh,
sure that it's
absolutely.
a right product. Yeah, we'll definitely be sharing stuff as it comes along on all of
I
our social
appreciate that.
media.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So let's see, what do I got next here, man? So okay, so obviously you're a huge fan of preserving physical media and if hard copies in your work. But what's your opinion on the overall gaming industry moving to like digital age as a whole?
It's inevitable. I can see that. It's like me clinging on to Blockbuster, which I do. I collect a
I've
lot of
seen that.
Blockbuster
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. So I'm like I feel like an old man, doing that. But with obviously I use Netflix and Hulu and streaming services and stuff like that, and so I can see that. I can see why it's appealing, to do that with games as well. I'm a physical media collector, and it's just it's always going to be hard for me to want to just do digital stuff. I'm not opposed to it if that's the way people like to game. I for one am always going to be like my company is always going to be one to produce physical media. So you can always count on us to be able to do that kind of thing. There's other companies that can do, the AAA stuff. People can do the digital stuff for the PS5 and all that stuff. And but yeah, I want to keep like that old school flavor alive. Like I said earlier, I don't mind seeing the evolution of the industry. It's nice. What I have seen in the last like 20 years since I was a kid, uh, is the industry grow like insanely. It's gone from like a like a nerdy kid thing to like the mainstream, you know. So I can't complain. It just means more games for us, you know. So I think it's grown into a direction that's not terrible for the industry. You know, there's some bad in it. You know, you see microtransactions and you see like some of these corporations taking advantage of buyers. You know, but it also means like more companies like mine that can come along and keep the other aspects of it alive. You know, I never thought there'd be a enough of a popular like platform for uh, you know, Game Boy games to be released, and there to be like a company that can like produce that kind of thing and it be legible. But here we are, you know.
Yeah, it's,
How lucky of me, you know.
and it seems like whenever a Game Boy game is released, like in this day and age, it tends to like hit the wire pretty easily, right? Like a Game Boy game is just released. Like it's nothing that gets passed over, right? Because it's not as
Yeah,
like super common to see one of those releases come out like
and
each
how
year.
lucky is that? You know, how lucky am I for that to be able to create that kind of content, and it's like satisfying for me, and it's satisfying for those who see that kind of stuff and want to buy it, you know. And I just think that if we didn't have the growth in the gaming industry like it is, maybe I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, and it seems like, one of the things I've noticed in recent years too, especially like specifically on the Switch, is a lot of hard copies of games coming out and people wanting to collect more
Yeah,
more often those physical copies than they have
right.
been digital copies. Obviously, it's evolving into a digital age, but I
Yeah,
think there's enough of us kind of clinging on to that physical media, but it's going to at least last, I would think, another generation at least in
I
terms of
hope
the
so.
the console wars.
I really hope so. You know, and I see a lot of indie games that are being released physically for the Switch too, and that's promising. You know, it's promising for smaller companies that do really good work. You know, and not to say AAA games aren't fun; they're great. You know, but I see like this creativity that comes from indie games that you just don't see in AAA. You know,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah, and
it's interesting.
I personally love it, man. Like all the indie titles that have been coming out in the last few years, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, I love it.
It's really cool to see. You see like some sort of like different creativity and stuff, some stuff that maybe the AAA titles are scared to do or they just don't do for whatever reason. You know.
Yeah, and there's games that, dude, like I'll see a small indie game get released, and it's so different, right? Like even on the box art, it's different from what you see in like a standard AAA title.
I love that.
It's just
Yeah,
captivating.
I
Yeah.
love that. It brings like a whole new kind of a game. You know, kind of a whole new corner. You know.
Hmm. So you had mentioned earlier that like you have Elland and Crystal Wars, but what's the next big project that you got your sights on? You had mentioned before we kind of hopped on that you're like stocked up for like the next year on
Oh yeah,
projects. Like what do you got coming down the
yeah.
pipe?
I just started like purchasing licenses to games, you know, and just like that's what I'm investing everything like everything that I have that Ellen makes, everything that Gelatinous makes. I'm just reinvesting it into more games, you know, especially unreleased games. Like I really like releasing what has previously been canceled for the sake of the developers, really, because I'm a developer and it just would suck so bad to work so hard to have something released and then it just gets canned, you know. So but that along with I really love the concept of taking old games and porting them onto other old systems that they've never been released on. Like Chips Challenge was released on like the Atari Lynx, and then I got my hands on it in the 90s whenever it was released on like Windows computers. You could always get it there, but it was never released on the Super Nintendo, never released on Sega. So we ported it to the Sega and Super Nintendo, and released it. So I like that idea of releasing old school games on consoles that they were never initially released on other old school consoles, you know.
Yeah, and
So
dude, your pricing on that's pretty affordable too. I mean,
I
$50 for a
try.
complete in box and like 25 for a loose cart of a game that was
Yeah,
never
yeah,
brought
I
out.
try. Look, it's not really about like getting rich or something like that, you know. That's why like I'm not really a huge fan of like limited runs or anything like that because they're always like trying to drive price, you know. I just want people to play the games, you know. So as long as people enjoy it and it's affordable for them to enjoy, I'm gonna try to keep it that way, you know. And I appreciate all the support that everybody brings me because it keeps it alive, you know. But I'm not greedy, you know. I don't want to. I'm not just trying to sit here and stuff my pockets, you know.
Yeah, and I
So
mean, with what you're putting out there, like you probably very easily could, and that's kind of a cool part about this is like you really are like at the heart of the gaming, right? And making sure that people are getting these titles in their hands and being able to enjoy gaming just to enjoy gaming and not on the price driven aspects that a lot of people see. I mean, how many limited releases do we see? It's like 500
all the time.
copies and a price
Yeah.
skyrockets to like stupid rates nowadays.
All the time, yeah, and I just don't want that to be my company. I don't want anything to do with that. I would
Yeah.
rather just give anybody the availability to play. That's why anything that like I personally develop is going to be given out for free. I appreciate donations; they're awesome. People do that a lot. I appreciate when people buy physical copies. First of all, because it keeps physical copies alive, and second of all, it kind of keeps me going. So I love that concept, but yeah, like I said, I'm just not greedy. I just want to be able to. I'm just really grateful to be able to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool.
Well, let's see. Before I get into the last questions here, do you have any like advice that you would give somebody that's just kind of, looking to, delve into some of this type of programming with these older titles?
Um, ask questions, get in touch with people who are in the community, join discords. I feel like that kind of stuff is so important. A lot of times people might have ego about what they're creating. Maybe I sure didn't. I asked for help all the time, and maybe that's why I was able to finish things the way I was. I had a hard time finishing the games. The first game that I developed, Quest Arrest, had a hard time finishing it because you just never know where to draw that line, and I asked everybody in the community that I could for advice, and I just kind of like took all that and soaked it in, and just kind of ran with it in the way that I felt was the best way to do it. And luckily, I set a date. I was like, I'm gonna finish it on this date no matter what, and it was like, it didn't feel finished, and of course there was bugs that I had to fix later, but you have to call it done, at a certain point. So
Can
um,
you,
yeah,
sorry, man, can you
no, go
dive
ahead.
into a little bit on like Quest Arrest and like Gelatinous and kind of tell our listeners a little bit about those two games that you have out there?
Sure. Quest is like a product of my immaturity, really. Like I just tell fart jokes and stuff, and I swear a lot, and it was kind of a mesh between the old Police Quest games and Pokemon, which I grew up with both games in the '90s. So I really loved Police Quest whenever I was growing up. You used to play as a detective, in Quest Arrest, solving crimes in a city, and I really loved Pokemon. So I added the turn-based system, and I realized that concept had never been done before. So I stumbled kind of across this original concept, and then I added just that immature flavor of me just swearing and telling fart jokes, and that's if I again like me creating games by myself usually is going to be like it's going to probably have that sort of immature humor and swearing, But Gelatinous was a completely different take. Quest Rest is more of an RPG. Gelatinous is like the Metroidvania kind of style. I teamed up with Stephen Long, and he worked on a lot of the design and the story concepts, and it was just a completely. I wanted to create something completely different. It was really nice and refreshing to just like turn do a complete U-turn on it, and created this really hard, extremely like Dark Souls of the Game Boy kind of game. And like Quest Arrest in comparison is relatively easy. It's more of a story driven game. But yeah, we were just trying to create something vastly different from that. And I had never made a platformer game before, and it was just really cool to like take it into a completely different direction. That's why working on Elland now is pretty cool, because it's another direction. I've never done like a flying shooter kind of game, like a first person shooter. So it's like it's cool to work on that. So just trying to keep it fresh for myself as well.
Well, when Gelatinous hits back on the
Yeah,
Retro Room games, I'll definitely be picking up a copy of that for sure.
sure. Yeah.
Um, so the last question, the most critical: tacos or cheeseburgers?
Oh fuck! That's a hard one, dude. Okay, because I like it depends on what kind of tacos and what kind of cheeseburgers. Because like you have like your standard street taco, and that's just like that's the best. With the onion, cilantro, beef, like a like corn tortilla, like your authentic. Because I'm from Texas, you're
Yeah,
authentic. We eat taco trucks here like crazy, and there's these ladies, they don't speak English, and their grill is dirty. It's like there's some chorizo from the breakfast, and it ends up in your taco. It's the best tacos that I've ever eaten, and it'll spank pretty much any cheeseburger I think I could ever eat. But then again, I've eaten some good cheeseburgers, man. Like they have these places where they crack the egg on it and like,
Oh.
oof, yeah, oof. So that's a tough one, man. But I'm gonna have to roll with tacos. I think. Like, I think I could eat tacos every day for the rest of my life.
And you can put a lot more in tacos too. I mean,
Yeah,
cheeseburgers, once you start adding your bacon and eggs, it gets kind of heavy, but tacos, you can switch it up pretty easily.
sure. You can eat like chicken tacos. You know, you could have steak tacos. You can have chorizo. You could have breakfast tacos. You know, so
You got tacos any meal you want.
yeah, yeah. Whenever I was like, I was doing like I was a part of this YouTube channel, and we went on this like Texas taco tour, and we tried like five different cities where we ate three meals of tacos every day, and like we got to try all these different kind of tacos. It's kind of weird like diverged like I don't know, but yeah, like I got to eat a lot of tacos, and it kind of like sparked my love for tacos in general. It was
Nice.
great, dude. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think tacos for sure on
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Tacos are great. Even if I ate the same kind of just regular street taco with like onion, cilantro, beef, and just a tortilla, some hot sauce. Oof, I'm all over it.
I think you need to make a fighting game next with tacos and
Yeah,
cheeseburgers.
right. Tacos versus cheeseburgers. I'm surprised it's not tacos versus pizza.
Oh, yeah, true. You know what, man? Pizza's pizza, right? It's kind of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same
I
concept.
ate
It's
pizza
just,
tonight.
yeah, the pizza is just like a vessel, right? Like
Right.
the bread is just a vessel for cheese and pepperoni, and the taco
Yeah,
shell is a vessel for that. But like cheeseburgers, I think is a whole different animal. So
you're right. Yeah,
you gotta
you're
put
right.
those against each other.
That's a tough one too. That's a good question. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I threw that one in there. I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm gonna get him to
It's
stumble on
like
this one.
llamas and chameleons or something. It's like which one's better? I don't know.
It is true. Oh man, that reminds me. Several years back, we had in Arizona, we had two llamas that like got out in one of the cities out here, and like
Oh no way.
within like 20 minutes, somebody made a Twitter handle for the two llamas.
Oh, two llamas.
It's great. You
See,
gotta look
the
it up.
internet remains undefeated. It's the
Yeah,
best thing,
it's awesome stuff, man.
It's great.
Well, dude, before we let you go, if you could just let us all know where we can find you on social media as well as your website for all those good purchases.
The Retro Room Games is the website, theretroroomgames.com, and the Retro Room Rue, like on Twitter. I think it's the same on Facebook and Instagram. It might be like some variation of the Retro Room something, but yeah, if you find the logo that you see the logo on the website, I think the website actually also links to all the social media pages. But yeah, if you find the same logo, like they're all consistent, you know. So I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All of the above. You can find me on all of them for sure.
Sounds good. I was checking the website really quick to double check. Is that you with glasses on there? It is. I'm just looking at
Yeah.
the retroroom.com and I see like the finger out and everything with the glasses
Okay.
down
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
console's flying back. It looks
Okay.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
that is me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's funny, man. I forgot that was there.
That's good stuff. But yeah, for all of our listeners, definitely check out Rue's website. He's got some cool stuff on there.
Yeah.
Pre-orders are obviously open for your next game on there, Chips Challenge, and
Yeah.
Quest Arrest is available. And you were telling me earlier, Gelatinous will be back for sale here pretty soon. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
some good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Again, I appreciate you having me on here and doing this. Like I said, talking about video games, man, I could do it for 100 hours. So whenever you want to do this again, let me know, man.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I know Ryan, he wanted to jump on, but I think
Yeah.
he'll definitely be stoked to chat with you down the road too.
I would love that. Yeah, that'd be great. Anytime, just let me know.
Sounds good, man. Well, hey, we appreciate having you on this week,
Thank you.
and we'll definitely talk again pretty soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man.
No problem. Thanks. All right. Well, definitely appreciate you guys catching this week's episode. This has been episode 156 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John,
I'm Ryan.
and thanks for listening.